Have you ever thought about what are some really scary, creepy, and disturbing jobs? Have you ever thought what it might be like to have to go to a job every day where you're dealing with dead bodies, disease, and extreme heights? And not to mention insects. Police diver. Police divers get to dive in cold, dark and polluted waters. That's part of their job description, to submerge themselves in all manners of lakes, rivers, canals, sewers, and cesspits. In order to carry out underwater searches looking for human remains, animal remains, murder weapons, wrecks, stolen property, and explosives. Steeplejack. Church spires, cathedral domes, industrial chimneys, towering skyscrapers are all remarkable feats of human engineering, and at some point will need to be repaired. Steeplejack's job is to build and repair tall structures, which mean they normally spend their days scaling, clinging to and hovering above some terrifying drops. High-rise window washer. For an average annual salary at $28K and the possibility of a gruesome death. High-rise window washers need training before they are allowed to work heights, use power-operated access equipment, scaffolding and abseiling techniques. It's a heavily regulated industry. Washers must assess every job before they begin and create an emergency rescue plan. Serious and fatal accidents still occur from time to time. Miner. Mining is one of the world's oldest industries, and has a long and contentious history to prove it. Miners spend long hours in tight spaces, working in poor light. There is good money to be made, but the job comes with significant risk. There are over 12,000 mining deaths that are recorded every year, with many more going unrecorded. Common mining hazards include cave ends, gas explosions, vehicle or equipment crushings, chemical leaks, and electrocution. Miners have a shorter life expectancy due to prolonged exposure to industrial air. Rodeo clown. Rodeo clown's job is to distract the bull once he's emerged from the bucking chute. They work in teams, shouting, provoking, and throwing hats, so fallen bull riders can safely escape the ring. Rodeo clowns are bullfighters with makeup on. The average rodeo clown makes anywhere between $100 and $500 a job. The most skilled and experienced clowns make 6 figures a year. Alaskan crab fisherman. According to a recent survey by the U.S. National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, Alaskan crab fishing is the most dangerous job in the United States. Because of the harsh environment and fishing methods used, mortality rates in this role are 26 times higher, 80%, than that of the average worker. Even successful voyages aren't pleasant. These fishermen live in cramped quarters for weeks at a time, go days without showering, and regularly work 48 straight hours in freezing conditions hauling up nets or cages, weighing several hundred pounds. Add rain, rogue waves, and icy decks in the mix, and the work becomes lethal. These fishermen are in unpredictable weather and ocean conditions. Alaskan waters are colder and less forgiving than most other fishing environments. An average of 1 fisherman dies while on the job per week. Clinical trial subject. Signing up to test new drugs can be a lucrative gig. You take a few pills, they stick a few needles in you, you get paid, and you go home. Most subjects pass through trials without incident. There is an element of Russian roulette to clinical trials. Full-time test subjects take medications that are sometimes not ready for the open market, endure endless blood tests, and risk serious medical harm. When the pill bottle is empty and the research is complete, subjects get hefty paychecks. Field epidemiologist. A field epidemiologist works in communities where the outbreak of a new disease has occurred in order to study the disease as it progresses in real time. Field epidemiologists are often employed by organizations like the CDC to go into hot zones and prevent outbreaks from turning into full-on pandemics. Protected by a little more than a hazmat suit, it is then their job to get up close and personal. Germs, blood, needles, and dead bodies on a daily basis. They also risk contracting a deadly disease themselves. Bomb squad technician. Police departments are increasingly employing robots for bomb disposal. There are still plenty of instances where human bomb squad technicians are needed to determine whether it's the red wire or blue wire. The job of a bomb squad technician is to render hazardous explosive devices safe by defusing them or doing a controlled detonation. Despite the obvious risks attached to doing such a job, technicians operate on a voluntary basis. Cryonic technician. Cryonics involves attempting to preserve people who are legally dead at very low temperatures, so that they can be revived in the future when medical advancements are able to restore life. Cryonics typically preserve just the head of a patient, since the goal is to protect the brain for eventual resuscitation. Cryonics is controversial among scientists. Cryonics technicians may be rare, but there is a niche market for people who want to be frozen after death. CTS Deacon technician. When police officers and detectives finish investigating a crime scene, it's up to crime and trauma scene decontamination, CTS Deacon, team to swoop in and clean it all up. On a typical day, a CTS Deacon technician has to get down and dirty with biohazards, like splattered blood and human remains, such as brain tissue, as well as dangerous chemicals from places such as meth labs. CTS Deacon technician are also called to scenes of crimes and grisly accidents. Forensic entomologist. A forensic entomologist uses insect knowledge in crime-related legal cases, like analyzing bug activity in a cadaver, to determine a person's time of death or if the body has been moved. It's a forensic entomologist's job to carve up cadavers in search of crime scene clues, and analyze the insects living inside those bodies in order to determine the time or place a crime occurred based on the type of beetles, flies, or maggots living inside the victim.